Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Post Cologne. Today we're taking a look at Lattafa's Bade'e Al Oud Amethyst. Alright, so Bade'e Al Oud Amethyst is a mouthful, first of all, and it is from the House of Lattafa. It's an eau de parfum concentration, and you can pick this bad boy up for $28 at places like Fragrance Buy. That's where I picked this one up. That's where I do most of my shopping. I'll have a link down below if you want to check that one out. I also have a coupon code. Save yourself $5 off your first purchase at Fragrance Buy. If you decide you want to shop with them, you can find this at other discounters as well. Presentation on this, absolutely gorgeous for $28. It comes in this really nice, elegant looking cardboard box that is fairly thick. It's not a cheap cardboard. It's got this beautiful lid to it, the nice little ribbon there, and it also sits in this nice little foam insert. So really nice presentation on the box. Bottle as well. It's a very hefty bottle. It's got kind of a rubbery feel to it on the outside here. Nice metal plaque with a really cool looking design that is on the front. Very metallic, very shimmery. Really nice looking bottle. Lattafa logo on the cap. And the cap as well has got some weight to it. This does not feel cheap whatsoever. Pretty sure that's metal underneath that kind of rubbery coating or whatever this is. Super nice presentation. Really appreciate the style of the box, the style of the bottle. $28. Definitely getting your money's worth right out the gate for that. So beautiful presentation, top marks Lattafa. So when it comes to the scent profile of a Bade'e Al Oud Amethyst, I'm just gonna call it Amethyst from now on because that's a mouthful. I was a little nervous about this one. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I am very wary of like rose style fragrances, and I knew this was gonna be a rose style fragrance, but I decided I'm gonna step out of my comfort zone. This seems to be something that I might enjoy. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna step out on a limb. I'm gonna give a rose style fragrance a chance here, see if I like it. Let me tell you, I was pleasantly surprised. Rose style fragrances, for guys at least, like you run the risk of smelling like your grandmother, and like no dude wants to just walk around smelling like his grandmother. I don't know, well, at least I don't. I'm not sure about you all, but you run that risk, and that is not what you get from Amethyst. This one has a really, really nice rose in it that I actually really enjoy. It's a very sweet, sticky, jammy style of rose. There's a Turkish rose, there's a Bulgarian rose in this. It opens up with some pink pepper and some bergamot. So you get this like little touch of spice and that citrus, and that pink pepper adds like a little bit of sweetness to it, and it intermingles with that rose really, really nice. That pink pepper and the rose just kind of set each other off, and you get that hint of that citrus that's a little bit on the tart side, but what you really, really get that's just the most forward note are those two roses that come through. And like I said, it's just a very sweet, delectable, sort of thick style of rose. And I absolutely enjoy this one. It's just an absolutely beautiful scent profile. It does have some vanilla, some amber in the base, as well as some oud. And now, again, when I was buying this fragrance, those rosy oud style fragrances can be a little bit challenging. So I was wondering, like, again, is this gonna be like a super potent rosy oud style fragrance? You do get a hint of oud, that is there, but I was kind of surprised with the lack of oud that is in this one. I do not pick up on a ton of oud in this one. Very rose centric, has that little bit of spice to it, and you do get some of that warm amber and the vanilla that comes through the base. It adds a little bit of powderiness to it with that amber, but the sweetness from the vanilla, and it just kind of warms things up a little bit and accentuates that delicious rose that we get from it with that touch of spice from the pepper that's in there. There is something weird that kind of happens with this fragrance that I did notice the few times I've worn this now, and it's like it's got this almost sort of saffron leathery style accord that kind of comes through. It's faint, but it's there. It gives almost like a rubbery petrol kind of vibe that happens that almost comes across as like a little bit of kind of like a synthetic leather, a little bit like of a waxy saffron rubbery sort of feel. For me, it's not a complete turnoff. It works in an odd sort of way that kind of sits there for a bit. It does subside, and again, it kind of rounds out, but you do, I at least, get a little bit of that kind of leathery, saffrony, I'm not sure if that's a word, leathery saffron style of vibe that kind of mixes in with that rose, that amber, and that vanilla, as well as that pink pepper. It's very unusual. I don't mind it. I get through that one without it being, you know, aggressive or a turn off, but it might be a little bit challenging for other people. So just a heads up, that's what happens with this. But in the dry down, that subsides quite a bit, and what you're left with, again, is that just Really nice warm amber vanilla with that rose sitting on top and a touch of fresh spice. Gorgeous fragrance. I love how this one smells. Again, I think this is very unisex. This does sit right on the line. It might even tilt a little bit on the feminine side, but I think this is the style of rose that men can wear if they're confident in themselves and they don't mind having that more of kind of a floral approach to their fragrances. I think they could pull this off. I pulled this off, at least in my mind. Really enjoy the scent profile on this. Now, in terms of performance, another win for Amethyst because this performed fantastic off my skin. 8-10 hours, no problem off my skin. I was getting whiffs of this throughout the day. There was points where I thought, oh, okay, it's kind of died off and it's gone away. But I had just kind of gone nose blind to it. When I would get up and move around, I would get another big whiffs of that beautiful rose and that vanilla pepperiness that was coming. It was a fantastic performer. Again, like I said, 8 to 10 hours. I did get some on my clothes and I smelt it the next morning on my t-shirts fairly distinctly. Fantastic longevity on this. Really impressed with how this did. In terms of projection, the first 2 hours, this did push off fairly well. It was beyond an arm's length for sure. And then it did settle in after that 2 hour mark and kind of stayed a little bit closer. Not a beast mode projector. This wasn't blasting out a room necessarily. It does have a kind of soft scent bubble to it. Very kind of delicate, you know, non-aggressive style of scent bubble, but the sillage on this is beautiful. And like I said, I was getting whiffs of this throughout the day, and each time I did, I was just like, there it is. What a, like, it's just a beautiful scent accord. I love how this comes across. Performance, absolutely awesome. Very impressed. In terms of occasions, I definitely think this is a casual style fragrance, but it can also be a formal style fragrance. It has that kind of level of elegance and sophistication that I think you could dress this one up, but I also think you can wear this casually. Date nights, if you're a confident guy, I think you can definitely pull this off. And for females watching this video, again, I think this would be perfectly suited for you as well for date nights. It's just a very nice, cozy, sexy, inviting scent profile that just does well across both genders, regardless if you're who you're dating. I think you can pull this off. Evenings out, wearing it casually, even dressing it up. I think this is very versatile in terms of the occasions you could wear it. In terms of seasons, fall, winter banger. This is definitely going to perform best in the cooler days. I think it's just, it has that fall vibe. It definitely has that winter style vibe. And I think that's where it would do best. Spring, perhaps summer, I think this would come across that the rose is too thick and jammy, and mixed with that kind of amber and the vanilla, I think it's just too much of that sort of thick, heavy sweetness that's coming through. And in the summertime, this would just not be your jam. I think it'd be too much. And in the spring, I think maybe you could pull it off, but it'd have to be kind of a cooler day in the spring. Fall, winter, definitely where I think this would be going. So overall, I am super glad I stepped out of my comfort zone to get Bade'e Al Oud Amethyst. I'm glad I rolled the dice. I was, like I said, I was a little bit nervous with the rose style fragrance, but this style of rose, I think just works for me. It just has that thickness, that sweetness, that jammy sort of vibe going on with it, mixed with that amber vanilla, that little bit of pink pepper, the bergamot, and that touch of oud is just a perfect, well-balanced, blended fragrance. Again, it has that kind of like weird, leathery, petrol sort of vibe that goes on, sort of in the mid before you get to the dry down. That can be a little off-putting for some people, perhaps, but for me, I didn't mind that whatsoever. I really like this fragrance. I think it could be a little bit challenging for some people. I don't think this is necessarily a safe blind buy for everybody. If you're willing to step out on a limb, if you don't mind a rose style fragrance, because this is very much a rose style fragrance, I think you should be checking it out. If you can get your nose on it with a decant, or if your friend has it and you want to check it out, I suggest doing that before you just go out and buy it. But for $28, I think it's probably worth the risk. Presentation's awesome, performance is great, and I really like this scent profile. I think you should check it out. That's Lattafa's Bade'e Al Oud Amethyst. And I want to hear from you guys. What's one of those fragrances out there that's a little challenging for you? Like, is it a rose style fragrance? Is it leather? Let me know in the comments. I'm interested to see what kind of fragrances really challenge you guys. So go down in the comments below. Let me know what kind of notes do you kind of stray away from, but you kind of like dip into every so often. Go comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.